right, good evening, everyone. Today is April 30th, last 20 minutes of the day, but I could not leave y'all without bringing back our sister who started New Black Media Appreciation Month. It was, 4 years ago? Well, actually, 5 years when we first met. But you started this phenomenal movement, and it's only right to give you your flowers. And this is a quote from the movie that we're going to talk about tonight, to give you your flowers while you can still smell them. None other than our sister Eve. So, welcome. Thank you for being the reason why I'm still doing this, because it's days where I'm like, forget this, giving all my equipment away. But I'm still here because of you. So, welcome. How do you feel, Miss Co-founder? It was co-founder. So,
That's
how are you
right.
doing?
I'm very appreciative of the time tonight, Taisha. Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for the space and the opportunities to grow with you. I know we don't know each other since back in the day, but I feel like it kind of is back in the day at this point. Half a decade. Time is flying, y'all. I mean, really, before you know it, it's gonna be next year, and all of the scary stuff that people told you was gonna happen is gonna be stuff of last year. So there's that. But I'm glad that we were able to connect tonight because we tried to do this at the beginning of the month and it didn't work. So I don't want to not say this. Ozone, happy belated, dude. Like I was on the live with Ken. I know you might have heard my birthday shout out to you on that live, but just on we had a whole thing. We were going to go in, but my StreamYard just the technology sometimes does not work well with me. And then
And we still can. We still can.
so, but no, definitely wanted to give you your flowers, Ozone, because you fighting the fight. You know, this is something that I struggle with, and maybe y'all struggle with it too. When something isn't happening fast enough, you feel like you're doing the things, but then you're not seeing any reward. But as a person who has uh, refound my love of gardening, never gardened before, but then I found that once I put my hands in the soil and I started doing those things, like, whoa, I really like this shit. Is this from somewhere else? Do I have this memory from somewhere else? And I do. It's inherited, even though it skipped the generation. So um, in my uh, in my learning, I'm finding that it's these environments, they're all connected. These experiences, they're all connected. And if I can
Yeah.
pause here, then I might can see the connection here. So at 5 years, it's a long time. It takes a lot of stone bearing fruit trees about 5 years to produce fruit.
Mhm.
But then if you plant that seed or you propagate that branch, and then you're waiting and it's year one and you're waiting and it's year two and you're like, damn, did I do it right? And then maybe year three, you start fucking with it. You might have messed it up because it's actually doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. You working in the garden this year, right?
Yes, I am. And each year is different. Just like with being a content creator, you have that good moment, it's up and down, but you just can't plant one seed and like, okay, I'm done with it, or put out one video, I'm done with it. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes, blood, sweat, and tears. You're constantly learning. You're still learning, and once the harvest comes, it's like, wow, this didn't come overnight. This was months, weeks, years in the making. And it just feels so damn good because it's something that was nothing that you made it into something, you know?
And that's so fitting for what we were going to talk about, and then still fitting for what we are talking about because when you peel back layers, onions have layers, y'all. No, when you start talking about why people are doing things, what's the driving force, what's the motivator, some people don't have the answer. They're doing it because other people are doing it. I find that I do things because nobody else is doing it, or I don't find enough people doing it. So then maybe I'm a little bit different, but I think that you're kind of the same. So
Yeah.
different but similar. People not saying enough or doing enough, but having so much to say about things. I find that the greatest sin, or at least in my unlearn and relearn moment, is forgetting. When you forget, that's when you fucked up. And since a sin is a sin is a sin for all y'all church going folk, we're gonna have to prioritize some things. You can't forget. So, well, I don't ever want anybody to feel like, oh, it's me. I'm the authority on anything other than me, right? I I want y'all to know that anything that I've done that has been great has only been great because y'all supported it. So then it's not just Eve, it's us. And then remember, I'm doing it because I don't see enough of us doing it. And if y'all have appreciated how I do it to the point or to the tune of 11,000 subs, y'all, I'm at 11,000, almost 12,000 subs. Well, I feel like maybe I need to, but life be lifing. And today, life was lifing. I got to go to the movies, y'all.
That's it. You got to take that moment out for yourself. It's work, 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 and if you don't take out that time for R&R, that rest and relaxation, or that I was military, so MWR, and it'll drive you crazy. Burnout, you would give it up. You'll forget. You'll get so caught up in your digital world, you forget about your physical world. And that's why you said gardening, connecting with others, having those creative moments. We have a weekly creative meeting where we throw ideas out there, because in my real life, those around me, they're not on camera like that. So I was like, hey, what about this? But it's not the same, as someone who's also in that creative space too. It's a difference between the content creators and the consumers. It's a relationship, but you need that outlet. Like, let me bounce this idea off of you versus let me put this out and it flops, So you need to bounce those ideas, get ideas back, get that critique, that constructive criticism from your viewers and fellow content creators, which is amazing. And tonight, you say you went to the movies. I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this movie. I've been consuming, content on other people's reviews and the shorts on TikTok. That's so funny. But when I reached the video that got me over 1,000 subs was when I did a movie review of Ryan Coogler's Black Panther back in that was 2018. I think it's 2018. That's what took me over 1,000 subs. So I've been a fan of his work for all this time. So here we come back, and we're talking about the movie Sinners. And I was just speechless. Before we even left, I'm like, I want to see it again. And so I'm in the car texting people like, hey, go see Sinners. Have you seen Sinners? Like, yeah, I saw it. Or, I'm going to go see it. I'm like, go see it. I've already pre-ordered my Blu-ray. It's $40 on Amazon. I'll post a link if you want a quick link to go get it. But it's just that damn good. So since it's fresh on your mind, lead us into it. What was your expectations? What did you get? Open the floor for us on this great movie.
Well, it's crazy because like I said, I don't go to the movies. Before we were live, we were talking about, or at least trying to figure out when the last time I'd been to the movies, and it's been about a decade, y'all. I mean, I don't like spending money with them people. Like, if I didn't have to go to the grocery store, I wouldn't. If I didn't have to do certain things, I wouldn't. And not that these things wouldn't get done. So no, I'm not like them other people where, I mean, if you don't have to wash your ass today, you didn't wash your ass. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if I could do it myself, then I wouldn't be spending with them. So it's crazy. My initial thought, and I said this earlier when I was live with Dr. Winters, but my main thought was just the fact that he's already been paid. And I think I told you this the other day. Like, I don't want to pirate the movie, but I also don't want to pay them. I don't like giving them people my money. It was like $70 today to just have a good time at the movies, and $70 might not be anything for you, but for me and
$70, it's a lot, yeah. Cause it's $100 minimum for me to leave the house, so that's why I stay in the house.
that's real. And that's the thing though, but it was nice to know that he's gonna make money either way. Like I really liked that. The whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, he already got paid. Fuck if you don't like this movie, he already got paid. And then not only did he already get paid, but he's gonna continue to get paid. And the hate around his ability to negotiate this deal, that was kind of it was exactly what I thought would happen. But then I guess nobody thought that there would be a Black filmmaker going out here making these types of demands. But then I'm sorry, y'all must have not been awake for the past couple of years where Black America has been delineating. It might not sound like what you wanted it to sound like. It might not be this, big booming voice of authority and, masculinity. It might be something like
this movie was a very interesting opportunity for me to do some research about my lineage, and I had that opportunity before with the Panther films, and in that situation, me being a foundational Black American, my family has been here, for over 400 years, essentially, in North America, but the Panther films allowed me to travel back to the continent of Africa and spend time there and contemplate our distant ancestry as it relates to the continent, as it relates to the diaspora. This movie afforded me the opportunity to go back to my more recent lineage, 100 years or so, and go back to, the Mississippi, a state that I had never been to. I'm almost 40 years old, and my matrilineal grandfather. This movie was a very interesting opportunity for me to do some research about my lineage, and
so to me, I know there's a lot of Tariq hate going on because of personalities, right? We kind of grew up in the age of personality where your currency is in attention and likes and hearts and shares and shit, and then the actual currency is non-existent. These platforms have different mile markers that you have to reach before you can even make money. So people just sharing their thoughts and doing things because it was important to them, that kind of went wherever it went. But then when Black America started, one mind, one sound, no, we're not all saying the same thing, but we are all sounding like, them niggas is different over there. I don't know what to call them. They don't even know what to call themselves. They're so unorganized and not together. But in the chaos, I find that there is one sound coming out of it, and it's Black America is done with all of the chicanery. We're done with all the nonsense. We're done with acting like all of this is okay. And again, remember that to me, the greatest sin is forgetting. So, to have Ryan Coogler saying that he had to go back to a place that he's never been to remember something that he's lived through. Y'all are not here today because you didn't live through something that you don't remember. You're here today because of something that you might not remember. And then every time we hit that point, I find that it's like another gem or an Easter egg for us. We get a little bit closer to where we're trying to get, a little bit closer. And that's like, okay.
That's exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. And I've been a fan of his work since Fruitvale Station. I saw Creed. just amazing work. But I put in my mind that I was going to support his work no matter what. Was when a few years ago he had that bank incident where they called the police on him. He was trying to cash a check. So to live through that, because you know when someone calls the police on you, especially our black men, it's often a death sentence. So that was important. And just to get into the movie, he said he had to go back, and a lot of people, they always say, well, I don't want to see another slave movie, I don't want to see this, you know, they always say that. But it's like our history, especially in America, ours right here, that's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, I'm from the Midwest originally. I've lived everywhere from the East Coast to the Pacific Northwest. I call it Pacific Northwest, to Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands. Now I'm here in Georgia, and something called me here. You know, the ancestors called me here, and I will take my last breath in this state. I love it here. I'm never leaving. Everything has just come into alignment the way my life is going. But to give y'all a brief synopsis of Sinners. If you haven't seen it, just know we're gonna spoil it. So
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it by now, you know it came out on the 18th. Come on now. I know the first is tomorrow. No, I'm a first of the month. So. First of the month, check come out. Go see Sinners. God dang it.
There you go.
But this movie is set in 1930s Mississippi, and it follows two main characters who is played by Michael B. Jordan. He plays both roles of Stack and Smoke. And it's funny because the line that got me hooked in the trailer, I want to go see it. Like, are y'all twins? No, we cousins.
No, we cousins.
That was so funny. And so it follows them throughout this one day. And in this day, they go and purchase a piece of property, which they will later turn into a juke joint. So between the time that they purchase the property, a lot of stuff happened in the background. You get introduced to the next main character, Sammy, who is their cousin. He's a church boy on the plantation, plays guitar, leaves, you know, his church fence to travel out into the world, where he links up with Smoke and Stack as they are preparing to open up their juke joint. As night falls, the juke joint opens, and they get some visitors. You want to take it over from here?
Yeah, it's the inside of so the whole movie is like a day, which I think is incredible that people the nuances that happen in our day. You know, really, you probably could make a movie out of it depending on who you are. Dr. Winters has so many stories of just little things that has happened to him where it's like, is you Neo from the Matrix? You dodging bullets and it's crazy. But with Michael B. Jordan in this movie, he's really getting his Eddie Murphy on, which that's another foundational Black American trait thing, you know, where we can put on multiple characters in one show. Why? Because we've always had to excel and go above and beyond. And I know I just came off of a DEI conversation with Dr. Winters, but still, it's like, damn, there's all sorts of diversity within this one population of people. Are we forgetting something? Is there something we need to go back to? And, you know, the brothers, they go back to Mississippi. So essentially they left Mississippi. They was like, nah, we about to go figure something else out. They find out that it's the same way that people have found out. Y'all are in your unlearn, relearn, woke moments, and you're finding out that the North had slaves too. You're finding out that Abe Lincoln didn't give a shit about your enslaved ancestors. No, he didn't free them because he had zero control over the people who had slaves at the time, right? Y'all, it's so much learning happening. And then the movie, it's got all these layers. You know, you can go with the surface layer. It's a vampire story and it's white vampires and they come in but vampires, what's that? What is a vampire? You know, And that's what happens when the juke joint opens. I don't mean to keep referencing my conversation earlier with Dr. Winters, but
yeah, go check out that video. Check out
that video out, that
Check
reality check. But
Yes.
it's the invitation. You know, a lot of people are inviting the devil in.
Invite you to the cookout.
Know it.
Invite you to the cookout. Come on, come to the cookout. Come to the cookout, and they just come in there to snatch your soul.
And it's like again, layered, and maybe accidental, maybe on purpose, maybe subconsciously, maybe on purpose, because we've got people right now in our neighborhoods with their hands out. They saying, nah, I don't want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know I said I was hungry, but let me get some steak and fries. It's like, wait a minute, beggars can't be choosers. No. And then, damn, do I have to have more money than I need to have to get you to do business with me, for you to come and fuck me over later? Because that ends up happening in the movie too. Everybody knows that the white people are going to be racist. But did you maybe have the thought that there was going to be some get back? Because that never happens. Never in a black movie is there going to be some get back. And Taisha, I'm sorry, this one last point before I let you talk about these things. Our get back on film for now is never going to include us winning in totality. There's always going to be a loss. There's always going to be some heartbreak. There's always going to be some bloodshed. It's never going to be that we went and we had this fight and then we won and we didn't have all of these casualties on our side. There's going to be casualties at war, but our side takes hits like nobody else. And well, I saw that too in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was loss and heartbreak. Like you can feel it. And I think having that element in the movie is what made the blues and the music what it was. Because actually, we need Brother Dewan here.
Look, I was just thinking about that.
Yes.
Like, man,
we need Brother Dewan because what I got from it, and so you had left off where some vampires come in. So there's a battle between defeating the vampires and someone living to tell the story. And Sammy ends up living. He lost a cousin to the vampires. He lost another cousin to the shootout the next day, but he made it. He said, I'm leaving Mississippi. I'm going to Chicago. And hopefully, well, if you haven't seen it, but stay until the lights come on in the theater, because there's a mid-credits part that shows Sammy in his later years, what happened. He gets back in contact with his cousin, the vampire, see what happens then. Then the very end, he's singing, what was it, This Little Light of Mine? Yeah, he was singing that. But I think what the movie showed with Black music is how, yes, it started in the church. A lot of our singers, Mahalia Jackson, Sister Thorpe, a lot of rock and roll started in the Black church and then it branched out. And I think what Sinners was trying to portray was how religion is used to, if you have talent, you have a voice, you need to use it for the Lord. Don't go out there and do the devil's music. But if our artists had stayed in the church and the devil's music, we wouldn't have what we have here. We wouldn't have the Little Richards. We wouldn't have the James Brown. We wouldn't have the greats that were the architects, the pioneers of what music is today. And it was an amazing scene, the music scene in the juke joint, where Sammy started singing, but then I think it was like a one shot where all the different styles of music from around the world, past, present, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, was all in that moment. And I think that was brilliant to show Brother Dewan's music tree. Like that's what I felt when I was sitting there. I'm like, that is it. It was brilliant.
I definitely felt that too. That one scene where all the different genres were colliding. I think I even said it out loud. I said, I know Dewan loved this part of the movie. And
Yes.
and some of y'all tethers love that part of the movie too, because you said, yes, West Africa, right there. You see it? And it's like, that's such a small part of the scene. And if you really wanted to go and cherry pick little bits and pieces, then okay. But again, the greatest sin, forgetting. It's the Amy, is that her name? The witch doctor, was her name Amy?
I think it was Annie.
Annie. Okay, Annie.
Yes.
So Annie is this the character who does hoodoo or voodoo
Root
or
woman.
root work. Right. So she's the root work woman, and she has stories. Our oral tradition is why some of y'all think that you're Cherokee, when you might be a Blackfoot or something else. Maybe you was a Seminole because y'all ran from enslavement. It's a lot of people who don't know where they come from, and then they kind of just want to push it off to the side. But then this one character is like, nah, I know some stories and I heard about that, and I ain't never experienced this before myself, but I remember. And then in her memory, she was able to get them the garlic and get them the wood. And then goddamn, at the end, when Sammy, what's his name? Sammy hit him in the head with the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's the craziest flashback, because at the beginning of the movie, y'all, he's at the church and he's got this half a 1/3 or an eighth of the guitar in his hand. And I'm like, did that nigga just
foreshadowing
away? But he didn't. He bust some person's head with that guitar, and that's why he had half. And I'm like, that's so, I was so excited about that well-rounded moment, because we always see us running. Oh, he's so afraid. He was running. He lost his favorite guitar while he was running, but he ain't let go. And no, he used what was at his disposal to do what needed to be done. And then I was all wrong. He didn't run nowhere. He drove to the church. He drove to the church, got out the car and walked in and was like, let me have my come to Jesus. And in his come to Jesus, I think he felt something. And I know it's just a movie, y'all, but I think he felt something, because it's like, if you continue to do the same thing over and over, do you want different? And that reminded me of New Black Media Appreciation Month, and why you even wanted to talk today, because it is in the patterns that you can either do something different or not. But if you can't recognize the pattern, then you don't know when you're doing something different or not. It's all accidental and out of alignment. And I've been talking with my cousin recently, and things happening at the time that they happen and the impact that it has. It's all about the alignment. So while you're saying out your mouth, you want this, you need this, this is you, this is you, this is you. If you're not doing anything to make it happen, you don't really want that shit. And me and you both have that issue with Black Christians. You're not about to pray and hope and prayers and send me thoughts and prayers. I'm drowning in the water. I'm in a goddamn life jacket. But let me send you some thoughts and prayers. Them thoughts and prayers.
You need to get right with the Lord. That was the spirituality aspect and the religion aspect. One, it was absolutely amazing. Someone mentioned first to let a rhyme flow down, and minutes about the Yoruba tradition. And the first thing I thought about, one of my favorite books, is Jumbalayia by Louise Miller, if I pronounced that correctly. I love, 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 love this book. And I love listening to her speak on YouTube. This book is to get you started in spirituality. she talks about the seven African powers, how to cleanse your home. The major thing was the welcoming of the vampires into your home or into the juke joint. I've done this for years. There's a reason why I do not have a welcome mat outside of my front door, or when people are selling the welcome like wooden sign, I want mine to say go away. I don't want, no one is welcome. All that, no, leave me alone. You are not welcome here. Don't bring them energies in here. I'm the first one. When I lived in Hawaii, we had black lava salt. You put a line out in front of the front door, the railroad spikes on the corners of your home, cleansing with Florida water. Like, I actually, at that moment, I'm like, I'm reading people's responses, online about that. And I think this is a great time to be spiritual, because I don't think it's like how it was back in the day where everybody's afraid, turning to the Lord. I think about the 70s when a lot of horror films were pushing Catholicism, The Exorcist, different things, got to do the exorcism, go to church, Damien, things like that. Like, no, I think it's more accepting now. Black Americans are accepting our spiritual side more. We are connecting to our roots, root work, herbalism. Yeah, this is the greatest time right now. It's not so much taboo where you have to be in the closet with it. You can be out with your spirituality. I've made no joke about, you see behind me, I got my Sagittarius frame. I got my tarot cards over there. Like all that stuff is like, when I left the church, I went and I studied and I researched everything that religion taught me to fear and was of the devil. I'm like, okay, well, I have it. There's nothing of the devil there. It's just more knowledge, So yes, I love the spirituality aspect of it, where no, try this garlic, but it also kept those original horror film elements, the garlic, the stick through the heart, a silver bullet, that was just the sunlight to kill the vampires. One of my favorite vampire movies coming up was I just forgot, tip of my tongue. It was Fright Night. Fright Night was one of my favorites, one of the first ones I saw coming up. So this was amazing.
When I saw the trailer and you got the white girl saying, "We gonna kill all you," I was like, oh shit, it's about to be like the racist people against the niggas. And that's not what happened at all, as much as it's exactly what happened. And I never thought about vampires like this, because everybody wants to just accept the energy stealer aspect of the vampire. But have you ever considered that it is a contagion? And then, if you look, I think my dog is throwing up in the background, y'all. So whatever you hear, this hush puppy being gross as fuck right now. So I'm gonna have to clean that in a minute. But
we'll be quick.
It's like, the fuck did you eat? I don't know. But I never ever thought about the contagion. And in the movie Sinners, it wasn't that the vampires want you to be afraid. They don't want anything malice. This is all love. It's all love. And then I think about 2024, 2023, 22, 21. And then, the last time it was all about this love for love and free love and all this love. And then they wanted to fuck your kids, right? So then it's like, wait a minute, pause on the play. Who's loving who, and what are we talking about, and what are we inviting in? Because that slippery slope is slippery as fuck. And it tells me this all the time: the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you might have thought that that's what you needed to do. Like, your bleeding heart. Oh
yes,
they just want to love each other. They just
Jesus is love.
Okay, but I'll love you to death before I let you fuck my kids. So then it's like, what do we need to do? And I liked how Michael B. Jordan playing both sides of the coin gives you that upper self and lower self. You get your higher and your lower. You get your primal and your spiritual. You get your carnal and your ether. And anybody out here telling you that you're not more than just you, that's somebody you probably don't need to listen to, because
that's one who is dimming your light. Let your light shine,
That's right. And you don't, a person who tells you to not shine, or a person who seems like they have forgotten and it's on some misery loves company type shit. So no, don't do them zodiacs and don't do them cards and don't do that because that's not real and da, da, da. Okay, birthdays aren't real. Da, da. No, tethers say birthdays aren't real or don't want to celebrate their birthday because they don't know when the fuck it was, right? So then if everybody's got the same January 1st, July 4th birthday, then maybe that's not significant for you. But for us, I got an auntie who has all the birth announcements and it got
numerology.
that we my paperwork is sound because we care about that stuff. And you know, the 30s, I know it's like it's giving slavery, but it's not slavery, y'all, because slavery ended in the 1800s, right? So that's like it's 60 years before the movie takes place, but that's how close we are to it. So y'all keep saying you don't want to see the slave movie, but that's our recent history that nobody would be here today in this country if it weren't for those people who had to exist on those plantations, and then those people who had to sharecrop in that area because they hadn't gone through the resourcefulness of the Great Migration to find out that, hey, racism up here, it might actually be worse because you don't know who the fuck is your friend. Smiling at you.
But think about it. There's a few videos on YouTube, I believe, where there was some people in Mississippi who were like still enslaved. They didn't know.
I heard about that.
Yeah, the video is on YouTube. I'll look for it if I could do it tonight. I'll post it if it's still up there. But yeah, there was a group of people. I think it was as late as the 50s or maybe even
it was either
even sooner. They did not know that they were free. You know, it's crazy. So it's that's not too far fetched. You know, but yeah, it is just wild. The elements that the research they did, let me tell you, we mentioned stand for the credits, and that's one thing I love watching the credits of a movie because it just shows you how much work was put into that film. When I saw stuff like dialect coaches, dialect consultants, history coaches, I'm like, wow, they really put some research to make this film accurate. And when I read certain books, you know me, I'm a nerd. This is not even half of the books I have. When I read books like Zora Neale Hurston, Mules and Men, when you read the way we speak, it's not the King's English, but you know, we have our way of getting our message to each other. And to craft this English language to do stuff like amazing things like Twista. I love Twista, how he rap and how he can just flow with words, spoken word. I love slam poetry. The things that we can do with the English language and how we get our point across creatively is just amazing to me. So here's another book I highly recommend, Mules and Men, to take you back to that era and just, you know, not forget, you know, our story, our plight, our beautiful history here, our beautiful story here. And a lot of things that I did not know, for instance, I have a note here, mentioned plantation currency, you know, at the Jew joint, they were, you know, the point was to make money, to bring in revenue, but they were getting these coins, these plantation coins that were technically useless. And so that made me think of another way how we were deprived of building wealth, you know. So that kind of hit me in the heartstrings, you know.
No, that's real. I had never heard the saying that you don't accept a wooden nickel. And then when I heard the saying you don't accept a wooden nickel, I'm like, what the fuck would you accept a wooden nickel anyway? Like, but then no, that's plantation currency, y'all. And you wouldn't accept the wooden nickel when there's freaking nickels out here. So then why would you work for less than what you're worth unless you just didn't know any better? And then what you said, her name is May Louise Miller. And I gotta say her whole name because when we don't, y'all will forget, or you'll do something crazy like you'll read a headline and it'll be the person who was murdered on trial. And it's like, wait a minute, that person was murdered. That's not who we
Yes,
need.
that's her right there. Yes,
What's
that's
going
her.
on? Look, check this out, y'all. I have it on extra speed so we can get through it fast, but just check this out.
May Louise Miller, a modern-day survivor of slavery. May Louise Miller was born in the 1940s in the Deep South in Mississippi, a time and place where slavery had supposedly ended long ago. The Civil War had abolished slavery in the 1860s, but for May and her family, freedom was still a distant dream nearly 100 years later. May grew up working on a plantation, picking cotton, pulling corn, digging potatoes, forced into back-breaking labor with no pay and no way out. For years, May, her sister Annie, and their parents lived as slaves, isolated from the rest of the world. They didn't know about the laws or freedoms that existed beyond the boundaries of the plantation. Like many other black families in the South, they were held in involuntary servitude, a form of modern-day slavery that persisted well into the 20th century.
You know, I came from a very poor family, and we was in slavery. We didn't have food, clothes, shoes. We really didn't have much of nothing. And the clothes we had was a cocoa sack. Each one of us had a cocoa sack with 3 holes cut in it, and that was your clothes. Your shirt, pants, and underclothes, or whatever you want to call it, dress. We had no shoes. We had the kiosk where we eat. We didn't have a stove. We really didn't even have a house. We laid on the grass, on the dirt. The hay was our bed, and we covered with the hay. Was our cover. We laid with snakes. We ate snakes. We ate the crickets. We ate the worms. We ate the birds. We ate the bird eggs. We ate the rabbits. We ate the frogs. We were just kind of like Tarzan. Whatever that come in front of you, that was your meal, if you counted. And that was my brother. It was more than me, and I don't call names, but if we caught a worm, each one of us took a bite of that worm. If we caught a cricket, although you think a cricket is dope, but we broke it into pieces that each one of us could have a piece of the cricket. If we caught a fish that unwashed on the bank side, whatever, when we bit it, everybody took a bite.
Plantation owners used threats of violence and the family's lack of education about their rights to keep them bound to the land. May's father, Cain Wall, had been forced into slave labor his whole life. By the time May was born, he was already deep into this grim reality. He knew the dangers of trying to escape all too well. When Annie, May's sister, tried to run away at just 9 years old, she was quickly caught and brought back. Their father's warning echoed through their lives. Baby, don't run away. They'll kill us. Fear kept them trapped. For May,
I'm gonna stop it there. Fear kept them trapped, right?
Mhm.
And I think that it is an unfortunate reality that ignorance is being selected. People are choosing to be ignorant right now at a time where we all have these mega devices and dictionaries and encyclopedias at our fingertips. We are choosing to be stuck on stupid. So then it's like our idiocracy review is even more pressing. Y'all need to go back and check that out. But the movie I liked, I really appreciated the fact that it didn't shy away from the trauma. Because like I said, you're never going to see us win without a whole bunch of loss. And to lose your soulmate, and I don't mean the love of your life, I mean the person that you're supposed to be here with. If you're born a twin, you got here with somebody else. You literally have a soulmate. Like your 2 souls got here at the same time. So, to lose your twin, that's got to be rough. And then to not really lose them because they bit the apple or they got bit. And then they're choosing to accept this reality of love. But is it love? Y'all always have these thought-provoking posts on Facebook that I'm nauseated by because you really don't give a shit about the answer. Does love hurt? Is love abusive? And then you abuse or you hurt, but you want to be loved. You want these things, but then you're out here doing the opposite of the things, right? You don't want the vampire to get everybody, but you're actually not gonna take him out because he's your brother.
And that was a big thing too, how the vampires or the fate of Smoke and Stack. Like, I'm trying to get this right. So Smoke, he had their protection from Annie, who was the root woman, the hoodoo woman. You know, she was, for lack of a better word, you know, praying for his safe return, his protection. They had a child that was buried on their land, and I think that that's what kept her planted there with their child. And so when he came back to her. And then ultimately, she made him promise, like, look, if the vampires get me, take me out before I turn. You know, our baby is waiting for me. And ultimately, at the end, when he, you know, lost his life, he was reunited with Annie and their child, compared to Stack, who, you know, he had these dealings with old girl. I forgot her name. What was it? Haley? I think Haley's coming to mind. Oh, he had his dealings with her. She was hurt because he left her, and she had to go marry somebody else, and her mother passed. So then she see him. He turned his back. He didn't want nothing to do with her. He was like, there's a white woman coming over here at you, and so he's like, you know. But then she ends up, you know, coming to their juke joint, and then she goes out there, you know, she convinced him, like, let's go get this money, let's go do this, you taught me this. But she go out there, the typical horror film, by herself, and then she comes back in. His lust gets the best of him. He still wanted to smash her. She come in there, and I just turned my head. It was two spots where I turned my head, on the rattlesnake. And then when she drooled in his mouth, I was like, "Oh, that is disgusting."
Yeah, no, that was gross.
That was good or bad, but he was thirsty for it. You know, he let his thing get him bit. You know, and that's how he met his demise. So when you see the path that they took, you know, that's one thing too. You can let your lust and your, you know, all that get you in trouble, or stick with something legit. Follow your heart, build something, have something to come back to. Because apparently, I didn't catch this until the end, but they went off to the war, and so they came back as veterans. So that reminded me of something that my recruiter had told me. He said, you know, come back and do something for your hometown. I mean, I did something for my family, but I got the hell up out of there. You know, I'm like, look, you know, once you gone, it changed so much. I was a stranger in my own birthplace. So I was like, I'm just gonna go somewhere else, you know. But I still love it. Still got love for the natty. But I'm like, yeah, I kind of outgrew it. It's a stranger to me. But they came back. They left, learned a skill, learned how to defend themselves, protect themselves, made it back home, tried to make their hometown a little bit better, give the people there something to hold on to. Yet they defeated the vampires and then defeated the clan as well. So, you know, right. They got their purple hearts that way. That's how I see it.
I mean, I think that's a good way to look at it. What you were just saying made me think of, I guess, a resounding thought throughout the movie about the vampires, and it is the interracial sexual access for me. You know, I know that I said it's love, 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 love. No, specifically when you start doing that thing where you think that you're in love with someone who can't love you, period. I know that y'all think that love it's something you have no control over, but you do. It's just that you don't know that you've got control over your programming. And when you've relinquished the control over what goes inside of you, you are inviting all of this other stuff inside. So then at what cost do you get to be free? Because Stack got to be free. His whole thing was that he didn't want to be with the white girl because he didn't want her not to be safe. Now, I'll take that and say he wanted to keep himself safe because it's the equal opportunity thing. And then you find out that she's an octoroon of sorts. So then she ain't really white and she don't really want to present like this, but she's got no control over it. And then I think about my students. Any student I've ever had that's been white, children have zero choice on being here. It's you adults that are fucking them up. And then me too, I'm an adult and I have the same liability when it comes to what's being taught. But then at the end of the day, if we're teaching that, you know, America is a place of freedom, of values, of rights and liberties and associations, then you look at this movie and you're like, damn, you can be free, but at what cost? No more sun for you, no more daylight hours for you. But yeah, you get to run around with Becky if you want to. Yeah, you get to, manipulate things if you want to, as long as it's outside of normal business hours, of course. You gotta go around the back. We don't want people seeing you when you come in, and it's like, no, people aren't out here turning into everlasting creatures. But again, at what cost is your freedom? Because then I think about Smoke and Annie and his protection. A lot of y'all are so sad. People get so sad when someone passes. Rightfully so. It's a human emotion to feel grief when you're experiencing loss. However, do you know how much more powerful your lineage and line becomes when you've got someone on the other side, right? So then the whole movie, Smoke is asking, why the fuck is your root not work for our baby? And I'm like, hell yeah, because all y'all Christians praying and you doing thoughts and prayers, and there's babies dying. There's where was Jesus during slavery? I'm with all of y'all, all these things, right? But then it's like, whoa, Eve, calm the fuck down. Because
that was me when he said that. That got me.
Right? He was protected, maybe, because that baby was there on the other side fighting for him too. So it's not just that Annie's here on the physical realm fighting for him, but you got somebody else. And then Ryan Coogler with these ancestral connections in the movie, and when he talks about the movie, Black Panther did the same thing. You got the kings on the kings on the kings on the kings. You talking to your ancestors. You're remembering things that you didn't know, that you knew. And as soon as you get that Rafiki boop on the head, everything comes into play. And it's like, damn, we don't have to be sinners out here. We can live righteously. We can live.
Yeah, and just because you're out, how they say, you're in the world, you're not sinning. Things that church folks are kind of afraid of. One thing that he put in there, as soon as he said it, a lot of people, they were confused. They had to go look it up. I knew exactly what he was talking about when Annie mentioned the Haints, the Haints and the vampires. I knew exactly what that was. I highly recommend for everyone to go take a trip to coastal Georgia, the coastal Carolinas. If you can go out, I went to St. Helena Island. And the tour guide, she told us about the blue, the indigo, the Haint blue on the doors and the shutters and the ceilings to keep those energies away. I actually have a couple of books. I don't have them near me, but one is you go to YouTube, not YouTube, Amazon, or just type in I think it's like the High Sheriff and Low Country. And also there is another book, but if you look up Dr. Buzzard, I have a book. I'll look it up in my purchase history, but it talks to you. It lays it down about spirituality, hoodoo, everything. I remember my grandparents, my great aunts, my great grandparents, different sayings that we had around the house where if the sun is out and it's raining, the devil beating his wife, or cover up the mirrors when it's raining, or a thunderstorm, don't take a bath, don't do nothing, different stuff like that. Why we cook black eyed peas and greens on New Year's, why we do certain things. And these are just things that's passed on through our ancestor generations. And it's like, wow, it's in the past couple of years, it just started clicking. Things just started clicking. Even with my daughter. My daughter is 2. And there's times I would just look at her and I would ask her, which ancestor are you? I look her straight in her eye and ask her, which ancestor are you? Because she'll do something. And it's like, this is not something that a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old does. Like, she has done this in a past life. It's so funny. It's just a moment. I'm like, okay.
It's funny. You're going to be tripped out when she gives you a name of somebody she's never heard you say before, because that happened with number 3. Number 3 was doing some shit, and it was like, who are you? And he gave me a name that I know he's never heard before. And damned if that's not my mom's father.
My son did that as well. When he was little.
It's funny, but pressing a button that is like, what is that sound? You know, you're hearing the ringing, you're hearing a beep, you're hearing something, you can't pinpoint it until you pause. You know, the movie, as much as I hated spending money, that was a pause for me because it reiterated the alignment that I've been looking for. And it's not going to be that, you know, I got best friends next door and we all, you know, co-living, or what's it called? Homesteading. You know, everybody on my block is doing the same thing and we're so strong. And no, it's going to be, I'm here, and then you there, and then he's there, and then she's there, and he's there, and he's there.
Eat the garlic before I let you around me. Eat this garlic. Let's see what happens, you know?
Let me see. And you better not be allergic, goddammit, because
right, or look, right there in your face, eat that garlic. Eat the garlic, anime. I ain't playing with you now.
I'll throw it on you. No, y'all, if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out because he's already been paid, but don't you want to pay a black man again? Like, I liked that aspect of it. Like,
the haters
that nigga some more money.
All these articles that are about like, oh, this movie is this, the second week. I'm like, why are they? Okay, it's a positive, but they're trying to report on a negative, like the movie isn't doing well. That's the point of the new Black Media Appreciation Month, because we see things before mainstream puts their spin on it and their lean on it. We like, no, it's not like that. This is how it is. And that's one of the reasons why in 2020, when the news was saying, oh, Atlanta is burning, Atlanta's this, I just took a drive right up there and I'm like, we chilling, you know, we taking, this ain't what's going on, we cooling. I was happy because as I was going one way, Georgia State Patrol was going the other way, so I could speed a little bit. But, you know, I thank you for giving me the inspiration to keep going, because it's not pretty all the time. Just like Mr. Coogler just minded his own business, putting great motion pictures out there. You still get the haters. So if he can get it, I'm like, look, let me stop complaining about these little comments I got on hold about these mugs calling me all types of names and stuff. But I thank you for it, because it's not pretty. I think we should also do another video, like 5 things I wish I'd known before I started my YouTube channel, or 5 things or something I wish I'd known before I joined the new Black Media, because it's just like, wow, it's not fun and games, but it's rewarding. It's rewarding and it resonates. You know, like we could have had channels like, hey guys, here's my new Fenty palette, but we don't do it. We do. No. We are the Black women that you don't see on mainstream media, but we're here. We're not the ones who are. I don't know. I'm in like a league of my own with, of course, with you, but it's like we're the ones who are not like, oh my gosh, Michelle Obama is my role model, and you know all this other stuff. I'm like, I gotta talk to you offline about something, but I just want to give you your flowers while you're here. And that was one of the lines from the film that, you know, stuck with me. I'm not going to wait until you're not here to give you your honor and pay homage. It's like, no, I'm going to celebrate you while you are here. And I thank everybody who celebrate me. You know, it's like, wow, you actually give me time that you'll never get back. So I want to make this time as constructive as possible and give you the best value, make something worthwhile. And make you better, you know. I get better with every video, so I hope to put out something that encourages everyone else to come into the video one way, but leave out better.
Absolutely, I think.
And before we leave, I want to give a shout out to another channel. I think it's called like Sparks for Inspiration or Sparks for Integrity. I'll tag them. They actually mentioned a few vampire movies that I had never seen before. For instance, I have this one right here. I had to go order it. You can watch it on YouTube. You can also watch it on Amazon. I really don't like Amazon. I mentioned a few times tonight, but when it comes to Amazon Video with ads, for some reason, they keep showing us pharmaceutical ads. And I'm getting so sick and damn tired of seeing Black men, this HIV drug can make you undetectable. I'm like, want to see that shit. Just play the goddamn movie. So yeah, I don't watch Amazon Video, but so I went ahead and watched it on YouTube. Great quality on YouTube, but I went ahead and ordered it because this is a trauma team production. One of my first scary movies I saw is called Dead Dudes in the House. It's on Tubi, I believe. But this is one of their productions. This is called Death by Temptation. This is a vampire film. It has Kadeem Hardison, of course, Samuel L. Jackson. I highly recommend you go check it out. It also has Bill Nunn, the brother who played Radio and Do the Right Thing. He's in this as well. Please go check this out. I think this is like a prequel to Vampire in Brooklyn. You mentioned Eddie Murphy earlier. Yeah. So I think it's like a prequel to that because Kadeem Hardison is in both. And he's kind of doing the same thing being a driver. But go check this out. I had to get the actual copy. And like I said, go and pre-order your copy of Sinners because I went ahead and paid. Man, like, look, when it come out, you mail that joker to me because I'm going to watch it again. I wanted to go see it at the IMAX, but this is the last day it was playing here in Macon, and I had to go to work. So I couldn't see it, but I will see it when it's out on Blu-ray. What do you got?
Definitely get your copy because I think that there's going to be a lot of reviews about it. You know, when the public has had some time to digest, they're going to see something and be like, oh, well, we really need to focus on this aspect of it. And it's I promise you, if I were a betting woman, I would say it's probably going to be something about that interracial sexual access aspect, because at the end of the movie, that black dude, white girl, off into the sunset. But you won't see them at the sunrise. And look, I'm just trying to tell you, at what cost do you want to be free? Because if it's at any cost, then you're a slave. But if it's at a specific cost and you're not going to bend or budge because this is what you're owed, then I say you Ryan Coogler that motherfucker. And, you know, get paid what you're worth and then some because, well, if you forgot, we haven't been working for free since 1865. So, you know.
Right. Absolutely. Well, this was a great conversation. I want to say thank you so much. We definitely have to get back together on the regular because if it wasn't for you, meeting you 5 years ago, you know, just like, wow, this sister is amazing and your energy is beautiful. And then you were amplifying us, but now you have your own platform, so it's only right we elevate you, support you, and put you up there because I don't think I would be where I'm at without your support, your encouragement, on camera, off camera, behind the scenes. When we get together, it's about just taking a moment, no cameras, family time, being mothers, wives, sisters. We just chilling with our families, but we definitely need to get together in person to where you see us on one screen.
Maybe we should do that. Not our next live because we'll probably come to you live before then. But you know, this year, let's do that. We will be on the same screen.
Yes, I know we talk about different things. You know, about the Dismal Swamp and just a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna make it happen. Where you're gonna see us. Look, here's my sister right here. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you up all night. I know you've been on live. So thank you, y'all. Please go check out Sinners, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one. So have a great night.
Bye.